In the early 80s, James Bond star Roger Moore would often talk about leaving behind his most famous role, but would still come back to do just one more Bond movie. People call this phenomenon FOMO, which stands for fear of more missing out. In 1985, Roger Moore returned for what he expected to be, and many facetiously hoped, would be his swan song. One more time as the suave super spy James Bond in A View to a Kill. So a lot of people will tell you that this is a terrible film, possibly the worst Bond film of the 80s. I won't say it's not a lesser Bond film and that it's not full of things that make it seem a little self-indulgent or ill-advised, like making Augustus Gloop CEO of Hershey's. But I don't absolutely hate it. For me, it's a watchable entry that can entertain you if you're in the mood for something silly but fun. Or maybe it's just terrible. Take your pick. After Octopussy's success and the fading threat of a competing Bond series starring Sean Connery, producer Albert R. Cubby Broccoli got to work on another Bond film, with returning director John Glenn and maybe even Roger Moore, who seemed less elusive to sign this time around.
You leave me little choice.
The story was basically plucked out of thin air with no relation to the Ian Fleming short story that provided the title. A View to a Kill sees Bond on the trail of a top-secret microchip design that had been copied by the Russians, and the trail leads to millionaire Max Zorin, who is, of course...
Well, he's a leading French industrialist.
Bond, along with Sir Godfrey Tibbett, attends a horse sale at Zorin's palatial French stables.
Is that it?
No, those are the servants' quarters. Stables over here.
Bond's pretense of attending the sale as a potential buyer is fraught, since terms and conditions state all sales are final and there's a bullshit restocking fee.
A program to control an injection of additional natural horse steroids, or to overcome fatigue during the race.
Zorin's sportsmanship has about as much integrity as an inflatable swimming pool at a porcupine's pool party. Zorin is the result of Nazi experiments, continued by the Soviets, who trained Zorin as a KGB killer, which seems to be good training to be a successful multimillionaire. Zorin's henchman/part-time girlfriend, Mayday, is a dangerous woman.
Someone will take care of you.
Oh, you'll see to that personally, will you?
007 follows the trail which leads to Stacey Sutton, a thorn in Zorin's side.
And that's what the $5 million were for. Your shares.
Zorin has been buying up land in the Bay Area with the idea of causing an earthquake that will flood Silicon Valley so he can dominate the microchip market.
Silicon Valley. And everything in it submerged forever.
If it happened at the peak of the spring tide for maximum effect.
Okay, so it's a little far-fetched, like a dog trying to retrieve a ball kicked by Superman. But do you really want to watch a Bond film where the villain threatens London's financial... Or where the villain wants to win a poker match? Well, anyway, look, it is what it is.
My department know I'm here. When I don't report, they'll retaliate.
If you're the best they have, they'll more likely try to cover up your embarrassing incompetence.
What is it about this film that irritates people? Like when you're at a movie and the person sitting next to you has incredibly itchy atopical dermatitis, which is fine. But did they also have to wear a corduroy suit? Is it the car chase through Paris where the stunt team drive half a car around Paris? What do you call a Renault cut in half anyway? The usual heavy depreciation or a useful increase in the power to weight ratio? Maybe it's the chase through San Francisco where Bond is hanging on the back of an unsecured ladder on a fire truck.
James, don't leave me!
Or Stacey screaming and waiting for Bond to save her. Or having an airship stealthily creep up behind her like it's a ninja. Or Bond is snowboarding while California Girls plays on the soundtrack. In this film there are an awful lot of scenes of people hanging around. Is this a James Bond film or a Jerry Lewis movie? I don't know, maybe A View to a Kill with Jerry Lewis would have made a hell of a lot more sense.
Way, lady!
Roger Moore came back for one last hurrah, looking slightly less saggy in places. Knowing he was unlikely to be making another Bond film after this, Roger plays Bond with a twinkle in his eye and a spring in his stuntman's step. Bond here is overly confident, an imp.
I was hoping we'd spend the evening together. Now I shall be all alone.
I doubt that.
Tanya Roberts is... okay, I suppose. We've had worse, but by the mid-80s, the overly damselly Bond woman was a bit on the nose, like finding a block of cheese in your sports bag after football practice.
You came to the wrong place, didn't you?
This is Christopher Walken. This is Christopher riding a horse.
Brilliant. I'm almost speechless with admiration.
Intuitive improvisation is the secret of genius.
Christopher Walken, an actual Oscar winner, does an impression of Christopher Walken like the one he saw on Saturday Night Live. Zoran's a charming psycho, but a psycho nonetheless, one who's happy to gun down his employees and ghost his girlfriend by blowing her up. If he wasn't trying to blow up the place, he'd be the ultimate template for a Silicon Valley tech bro. 80s Bond films generally had a problem with lackluster villains, but Walken at least does seem to be a decent match for Bond. Grace Jones's Mayday added a touch of the avant-garde. A henchwoman who beds Bond, tries to kill him on several occasions to please her boyfriend, and then finally helps Bond defeat Zoran's plan.
What a view.
To a kill.
Former Avenger star Patrick Macnee appears as Sir Godfrey, a horse trainer posing as Bond's valet, when the pair go undercover, with Bond really getting carried away with being a pain-in-the-ass employer.
And if possible, a clean shirt.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my Lord Tibbet, look at the state of my clothes. Well done, my good man.
Do we have to keep this up when we're alone?
A successful cover becomes almost second nature.
If he went on Undercover Boss, it would be one of those episodes where all the employees called him a cunt. A View to a Kill was also Lois Maxwell's final appearance as Miss Moneypenny. There's a smaller henchwoman role for Alison Doody as Ginny Flex, who'd go on to appear in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
I'm sure I've seen him somewhere before.
And there's a blink and you'll miss him appearance by Jones' then boyfriend, Dolph Lundgren. And something that probably means very little to all but a few, the bald guy from Murder 1. But you know, I just know him better from Star Cops. The then successful pop group Duran Duran provided the franchise with a #1 pop song with their title song, somehow also coincidentally called A View to a Kill. The film was originally set to be called From a View to a Kill, but that somehow sounds even lamer, something you'd see on a douchebag real estate agent's business card. John Barry provided the score, and it's just adequate rather than standout. Like getting a free 6-inch sub. I mean, hey, a free sub, but then you remember all the shitty sandwiches you had to eat just to get that freebie. Just before filming was set to commence, the massive 007 stage at Pinewood was burned down during the filming of Ridley Scott's Legend, which unfortunately wasn't enough to burn every frame of that film. The stage was quickly rebuilt without setting the production back too much.
My real name is Bond. James Bond, you must take my word for it.
A View to a Kill is not a popular movie. It was reasonably successful at the box office on release, but reviews were, let's be kind and say they were brutal. Roger Moore, now in his late 50s, was the target of much of the criticism, and Tanya Roberts wasn't seen as the best casting.
What's this loaded with?
Rock salt.
A View to a Kill often feels like a Bond film coasting along on its reputation, getting by on fumes. Christopher Walken and Grace Jones make a good pair of antagonists, and the scenes with Moore and Macnee are a lot of fun. But in general, it's rather average, mediocre, like late night KFC when you're sober. The Bond franchise has had a few missteps over the years, and A View to a Kill is definitely one of them. It's not a film I care to hate on, because at the very least, it's not Die Another Day. A View to a Kill wasn't a great film to see off Roger Moore after 7 films and 12 years as James Bond. Like an echocardiogram, there were ups and downs, but I'll be sad to see the old fella go. But now there would finally be a new James Bond, with Timothy Dalton making his debut as James Bond 007 in the 1987 film The Living Daylights. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below or check out some of our other videos.